All right. Very excited about this. Podcast episode number 1. If you never quit, you will never fail. Good example of this is right before this take. I just went through the whole video from start to finish and I killed it, honestly. It was off the top and it was great. Everything flowed. And I didn't press the record button to record my voice from the mic. So here we are again. Hence, if you never quit, you will never fail. We're going to get this podcast out. That's what we're going to do. So during this episode, being the first one, I would like to give a little introduction about myself and kind of who I am, where I'm from, and all that good stuff. So it's a lot, honestly. Let's start with my name. My name is John Chinchar. My stage name is Chin. I go by Chin. That's short for my last name, Chinchar. I'll tell you my whole name. Don't really care. I'll give you my full government. You guys are going to figure it out one way or another. You have Google. You could do your research. It is what it is. Yes, my name is John Chinchar. My stage name is Chin. I was thinking about changing my rap name recently, honestly, but I'm going to keep it original. I've been called Chin my whole life, short for my last name, and that's what it's going to be. I know when you Google Chin, you might just get some actual physical human chins. It is what it is. I never took the easy route. The algorithm will do the work for me. We'll get there. So I grew up in Union County, New Jersey. I grew up in a town that was quite middle class, not very bad crime-wise. And there was opportunity. You know, I lived with my family. I lived with my mother and my father and my 2 younger brothers. My parents' relationship it's funny. They got a funny relationship. But it is what it is, you know. So that's kind of the setting I grew up in. I didn't necessarily grow up in my town. I had a lot of influences from outside sources, the neighborhoods around me, my friends, and all that stuff. And I kind of grew up a little more ghetto, unfortunately. But it is what it is. It shaped me, made me who I am. We're here now. All the mistakes, you learn from them. You grow from them. And guess what? The more you know, the more you grow. So I started making music. I've been making music my whole life, really. My mom used to tell me that I would be on little car rides when I was younger as a toddler, and I'd be sitting in my little car seat in the back, and I would just be tapping on things, making beats out of things, singing the lyrics to the songs on the radio, and just going all out and kind of just... She always knew that was kind of in me. I guess second grade came around, I started playing the cello. Third grade came around, I started playing the saxophone. Fourth grade came around, I started playing the guitar. I was doing a lot of live performances, actually, in fourth grade, which was scary, but, you know, I swallowed that fear and I just did it. And it got me to where I am, you know. I got a lot of tenacity out of it. Girls. So that was fourth grade. And then fifth grade rolled, kind of the same thing. Sixth grade was a major transition for me. That's when I stopped going to school. I started involving myself more in the streets, I guess you could say. And that's when I started really rapping, because there was a lot of life stories to tell and things were getting more serious. So it just became something to vent, you know, it just became an avenue. So I started rapping. In sixth grade, I probably went to school about like 30 or 40 days, which is crazy because I think there's like 180 days in the school year or something like that. So I went for a fraction of them. Seventh grade came around, was kind of the same thing, just messing around, rapping here and there and just doing my thing. Eighth grade, same thing. Then freshman year, I think that's when I turned 16 or somewhere around there, freshman or sophomore year. Whenever I turned 16, that's when I officially dropped out of school. I was able to bring my mom in. She signed the paper. She legally dropped me out. My father was not happy about that in any way, shape, or form. And then from there, though, I knew that I needed to do something. Like, I wasn't fully into the music yet, so I didn't know that was going to be my avenue. And I just knew I needed something under my belt so the rest of my family especially my mother. It's not like I cared about what anybody thought, but I do care for my mother, and I want to be able to support her and provide for her one day. So that's like, I knew I was going to need something. So I put myself in trade school to become an electrical engineer. And that's when I was 17. When I was 17, I also caught my first felony though. They waited till I was 18. They trialed me as an adult, and then they put me in jail. And I'll never forget the judge. He gave me a serious chance here. And my sentence was in the beginning of summer, to start in the beginning of summer. I had like 365 days or something like that. And he looked at me and he said, "You have one more marking period of your trade school." And I was like, "I know. I'm not gonna be able to finish it," and this and that. He was like, "You know what? Go to jail for the summertime." He said, "But I'm gonna let you out in the fall. And if you finish your trade school and you could bring me that certificate and show me that you're a certified electrical engineer, then I will waive the remaining days for you." So I was like, that's what I did. I did my time. I came out. I got my certificate. I went back to him. He was like, "You look better. You talk better. That's it." He said, "You're going to go on parole now." He said, "Those days are still there." He said, "If you violate, you're going to go serve the remaining time." He said, "But I'm going to give you a chance because I think that you're going to be able to rehabilitate yourself." So I was like, "All right, bet." I was loving life. I was out. I was free. I was like, So everything was good. 19 was good. I started focusing on music, and I started 19 was a very transitional year for me. That's when I kind of knew that I didn't want to go down that path, the path that I was heading down, and I knew I wanted to do something more special. I started getting deeper into music. I had more stories to tell with rap now, and I was getting somewhere with this creative process. So I was like, I need to figure out how to really be the best at this. So I put myself in another school, and this was a year program at Engine Room Audio in New York. I learned all production from them. That's how I learned how to make my beats, and then I learned how to mix and master from them, and then I was able to come home, open up my own home studio, and then kind of just start working on music from there. 20 came around, I caught another felony. Unfortunately, I was just messing around too much, not taking music as serious as I should, and just still being around the wrong people, I guess. And then I caught another felony. I had to deal with that. And 21, 22 came around, and that's when I met a girl who kind of changed my life at this point. It's funny because you only know what you know. So my whole life, I grew up a certain way, conditioned a certain way by my parents, taught certain things, spoke a certain way, did certain things, acted in certain manners, and that's all I knew. So I met this girl, and after a little while, she started looking at me and being like, "Yo, like, what is good with you, bro? Like, you're crazy. Like, you have to stop doing some of this stuff. Like, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't talk like that. Don't act like this." She started kind of like pointing me in the right direction. But the thing is, when you don't want to accept help, or you don't know how to change, or you don't necessarily want to change, and then someone's trying to change you, it feels so forced. So it didn't really work out between us, but all of that knowledge clicked later on in life. But through the 2 years that we were together, we started a career. We did real estate, and I sold commercial real estate, and it took me a year to make my first dollar, but I made a pretty fat check my first time, and then it was kind of just from there, that's when things kind of started falling apart for me. It was like it's not what the universe had in mind for me. I had a Porsche GTS. I had a beautiful girlfriend, a great job. I had a Cuban chain full of diamonds. I had all these nice clothes, great things around me. And like, I was at the top. Like, I was really up there. But I didn't feel like I was. like it started eating at my soul and eating at my core. And I started becoming a different person. And I started facing burnout. And I started taking it out on the other people around me. And my relationship kind of fell off. After my relationship fell off, that's when my job fell off. My job fell off. Then my friends started falling off. They started moving. More people started dying. More people started kind of just like, I started just stepping away more. And then I was just like lost. I didn't know what to do, and I didn't know what direction to go down. But I knew that all this flashy up stuff, like this is not it. This is for broke people. Like I'm so rich mentally that this is so broke what I'm doing. Like I have to stop. So I sold my car, I sold my jewelry, I sold all my designer clothes, and I got completely rid of everything, and I left my family, and I left all my friends, and I went on a journey to go find myself. And somehow I ended up in Miami. Don't really know how. After a few months of being in Miami, I was looking for still an avenue. I was trying to get my real estate license out here, trying to get my insurance license out here, trying to do all these things out here that weren't for me. And it was so beyond stressful and overwhelming. And at this point also, my grandfather just got sick, and he went into hospice, which he didn't last on hospice for very long. And he ended up passing away. And it was just one after another, one loss after another loss and after another loss. And to lose him, he was the rock of the family. Like losing him was a lot. So right around when he got sick and things weren't looking very good for him, that's when I decided to say my first prayer ever. And I've always been spiritual, and I've always been like, oh, the universe is aligning things. The universe did that. The universe did this. But I've never been like a man of God. So I kind of just swallowed my pride, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to pray. I don't know what to do. I'm losing everything. Everything is falling apart. I dropped a song called Falling Apart, which is the best song that I've put out to date, because it's the one that's just, it just tells such a story behind it. Like I have more music like that we're gonna get there. Like I'm gonna start releasing more frequently, I promise you, because this is what's for me. But I prayed for the first time, and I was just asking for direction, what direction to go in. I felt so lost. I felt so out of place. And I honestly just didn't want to continue. And I was outside one night, and I just looked up, and I just said, what do I do? Where do I go? What do I focus on? What direction do I take? And before I could finish my sentence, my body froze, and the word music came out of my mouth without me even speaking it, or I heard it, I said it, but I didn't do it. I took that as a sign. If that's not a sign, I don't know what is. This happened in November of 2023. I turned, I was like, it's over. Music, screw everything else. Construction that I'm doing, the company that I started, get rid of it. Real estate license, I don't need it. I don't care. This, that, I don't care. GTS, I don't care. Sell everything, got rid of everything, done. I'm just done. I don't need anything. I'm focused on all the wrong things. I'm focused on all the things that I want to be focused on, but this is not what I'm here for. This is not what the universe has in mind for me. So I need to redirect myself. Sometimes the smallest little step in the right direction could be the biggest step of your whole entire life. And I took that step in November of 2023. And by January of 2024, I had 3 songs clear 100,000 views on Spotify, which was a milestone for me. So happy about it. And I just finally was focused on what I should have been focused on from the beginning. Things started coming together for me. It's now March of 2024. I have taken these past few months to really get closer to the Lord and get closer to myself. I took the past 3 days to stop smoking weed. I've been smoking weed every single day of my life since I've been like 15 years old. But I'm learning now that nothing changes until you do. It just doesn't happen. Like, you're just gonna sit around, just keep waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting. What are you waiting for? Get to work. You have to change something if you want something to be different in your life. It starts with you. So the past few months, I've just been focused on myself and getting my thoughts together, getting my content together, getting everything in order, going through some issues with DistroKid. I'm about to post a video about that. And there's just so much going on, but there's only one path, one focus. Everything is narrowed. So I feel great, honestly. I'm the happiest I've ever been. It took me a long time to get here. I lost a lot of people, and I went through a lot of things, and it hurt, and it was hard, but it was a test. It was a test that I had to go through, and you have to make mistakes. You have to. You have to make mistakes in order to win. You have to lose in order to win. You making the same mistakes over and over are not good at all. Doing the same thing, expecting different results over and over. That's the definition of insanity. You're doing the same thing, but you're expecting different results. It doesn't work like that. You have to do something different to get different results. That's how it works. So making mistakes, that's not a bad thing. I've made mistake after mistake after mistake after mistake after mistake. The bad thing that I've done was I didn't sit there and reflect on them. Until I sat there and reflected on my mistakes, that's when things started to change. That's when I started to grow and I started to learn. And I started to not have so much resentment about the girl that left me or the job I lost or this and that, because it was all a lesson. It was all a lesson that made me who I am now. And I'm beyond thankful for it. So, first episode, kind of brief, just a quick little rundown about me and where I'm at and where I'm from and what I'm doing. We'll get deeper into my life throughout the talk show. More secrets will start unfolding and you'll be able to get to know me a little bit better. I'll go more in depth about these stories and these journeys that I've been through. But this was really just the gist of it. I wanted to give you guys a quick little introduction on who I am. I think it was a good episode. I think it was a good talk. I hope that this helps some of you. I hope it motivates you to go do your thing and find your calling and not focus so much on the people around you, but focus on you and just take it all in. Take it all in. Remember that you only know what you know. So try to know more to be better. It is. Just try to know a little bit more. Never stop learning. Never stop going after it. If you never quit, you're never going to fail.